Hello and welcome to the Entrepreneurship and Innovation Center here at the University of New Haven. I'm Mike Maguire and this is On the Spot. As we know, On the Spot is the place for you to pitch your new business idea, get feedback, and feel what it's like to be on the spot. At On the Spot, we invite students from all over Connecticut to stand on the spot and pitch their business ideas to a panel of judges, each one an entrepreneur and an expert in their own right. After each pitch, the judges will decide if you and your pitch have what it takes to make it through to the next round. If you do, we'll help you refine and sharpen your pitch before returning to the spot to pitch again. This year, we're adding the opportunity for contestants to develop and demonstrate a prototype and get intense mentoring to improve their pitch. And if the judges agree, you'll have a chance to compete in our pitch-off at the end of the season, battling it out to become one of On the Spot's student entrepreneurs and to win $500. Today, we have two contestants. One will move on to the next round and one will not. Now let's meet our panel of judges. First on my left is Rich Fissler. Rich is an experienced entrepreneur in the field of medical imaging and biotechnology and is making his second appearance here on the show. So welcome back, Rich. Next in the center spot is Lisa Miskus. Lisa is a marketing and publishing executive and now owns a company that manufactures and sells veterinary therapy equipment. Welcome, Lisa. And finally, to my right is Ryan Duquez. Ryan is a serial entrepreneur and a member of the Board of Advisors of the University of New Haven's Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program. He's also currently serving as the lead entrepreneur at Traverse by Travelers. Welcome, Ryan. Okay, our panel's in place. It's time to meet our first contestant. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jordan Liu to On the Spot with his idea called Town View. Jordan, you're on the spot. You've got 3 minutes. Go.
Hey everybody, my name is Jordan. I'm the co-founder of Town View. Town View helps small businesses connect to their customers' phones. So I just moved to New Haven from Tampa about a month ago, and as far as first impressions go, I like the place. Nice people, great weather, great location, but there's just one thing that's on my mind. I am so bored. And it has nothing to do with the area. Obviously I'm new, haven't established community yet, so I'm not necessarily in the loop. But even if that's the case, I'm a new local, or better yet, I'm a tourist. Have some money to spend, time on my hands. Where do I go to find things happening right now? 10 years ago, I can go to the store, get a newspaper, go to the event section, and everything's good. But nowadays, they tell me go online. Use Facebook, use Google, use Eventbrite. But information found on these sites are so fragmented or outdated, it's literally no help. And so from the perspective of a local or a tourist, this is one of the problems that our product solves. The cool thing about Town View is that we address a double-sided market. So for our customers, which are small businesses, we offer them a web-based platform that connects to the Town View app to help increase customer loyalty and engagement using retention tools. And for our users, which are local and tourists, by a bunch of businesses actually using our system, we simultaneously solve their problem by giving them a central location to find things happening right now at 8:30 at night. So the best way to kind of think about Town View is take all your favorite loyalty apps, Starbucks, Chipotle, H&M, Old Navy, and put it all under one roof. We want to establish that exact same concept, except for small businesses. Thank you.
Jordan, great job on your pitch.
Thank you.
I thought that was awesome. And you seem like you're the consumer yourself for your own product. A lot of times that's how entrepreneurs come up with ideas.
Exactly.
How did you come up with this idea?
Yeah, so I was actually a student athlete back in undergrad, and whenever we would travel around to different cities, we'd have some time after games and practices to kind of explore. But every time I'd go to a city, there'd just be the hardest thing in the world to find something to do. So we would end up just staying in the hotel and wasting our time, basically.
So you weren't doing like homework, and you weren't tutors or anything like that?
No,
All right,
no.
fine, I get it. All right. Well, let's hear from our judges. Rich, why don't you provide Jordan with some feedback?
Well, thank you for telling us about your project that you've been working on.
Thank you.
So the first thing that popped up to me was when you were talking about Starbucks and Chipotle having a rewards program. Is that the type of business you would initially roll out to, kind of the food, or would you go to entertainment, or how would you roll this out initially?
So yeah, we've kind of been working with food industry as well as some in the clothing and a little bit with entertainment where it comes to comedy clubs, places like movie theaters, and some event centers.
Okay, so you're like a portal to all of these companies
Yes.
that one new person to the city can go to
Exactly.
and do that.
Exactly.
And so what's in it, how do you, what's in it for them, for the companies? Because they already have their website, so what are you trying to offer them that they don't have?
Yeah, so the big thing that we're trying to offer them is a direct connection to their customer's phone. It's really expensive to do that, on your own. So to kind of develop your own app or, necessarily increase a lot of money on your social media ads.
Okay.
So for us, it's like we're trying to find that happy medium of being able to offer you the same features of a mobile app, but at a less, expense. So the biggest thing for us is really giving these local businesses the same type of reach as national brands have, as I mentioned, Starbucks, Chipotle, H&M, and Old Navy, but also being able to kind of at the same time, dictate the ability to also connect to their customers really quickly.
Okay, so New Haven's a very vibrant place, and the more you walk around, the more you find small places that have things.
Yes.
And so that's the guy you're really going after,
Yes,
right? You
yes.
can't build a big website like those big companies.
Exactly.
Okay, I understand. Thank
Exactly. Yep.
Great. Lisa, what do you think?
I love the concept and have thought of something in the past similar to that. So how are you targeting your audience, and how are you charging your customer? I'm assuming is the small business. Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So your small business wants to optimize their dollar and their ROI on each eyeball that they're seeing. So when you have a new customer come to the market, how do you know what their preferences are? How do you deliver the right message from the right business to the right customer?
Exactly. So one of the things we do offer is a different type of features you can get with our software. So whether it be a rewards program, online payment system, custom push notifications, just being able to see data on your customers. And depending on what you're looking for as a business is what you get in your package. So we're definitely doing it more as like a SaaS business to where each month you're paying us a reoccurring fee to use our software, but depending on what you necessarily need for your business in itself may differentiate how much it costs depending on what business you're in.
Okay. And so how do I reach the right customer? How do I know that I'm going to deliver a message to Ryan versus Lisa? And we have different preferences, and I don't want to waste my dollar delivering it to him if I'm your customer. How do you know how do you find that right customer?
Okay, so what we do is similar to how you get your own app, where you're able to say you got an app for your store and you're promoting it to your customers walking in. So the same way is kind of how it works at TownView. You have your own profile and people follow you, or they subscribe to your profile. And what they're doing is necessarily kind of sanctioning themselves, saying, I want to be interested in whatever you have to offer. The same way how when you go in and they tell you to download their app, kind of the same thing with us. We're kind of cutting the cost because it's all under one roof. Does that make sense? So yeah, essentially we're basically allotting each customer based on what their preferences are. So if they're into, food or a specific, clothing store,
Yeah.
they choose whatever they go after.
So they choose it when they subscribe to the
Exactly.
app. Got it. Okay.
Exactly.
Great. Thank you, Lisa. Ryan, what say you?
So Jordan, great job. Loved your pitch.
Thank you.
I love the space of connecting consumers to things that are going on. And I'm a data guy. So I'm thinking about all the things that are going on, not just in New Haven, but in the state of Connecticut as well. There's a lot of things going on.
Yep.
So I'm wondering, as you're starting the app and you're starting the program up and Jordan comes and Ryan comes to the app, what am I going to see the first time as a consumer? Are you going to populate all of these things? And if so, how are you going to do that?
So that's kind of how we started it in Fort Myers. What we did was that we self-populated. We got the idea from Reddit. What Reddit did was on their initial product, they went in there and did their own comments, made their own conversations, so that when it came time for people outside of Reddit to start using it, they knew how it worked. So we self-populated Fort Myers for our businesses, and it helps in two ways. One, for the users, we're able to acquire them a lot quicker because they can see things when they go on there. And two, for the businesses, when they see it, they're like, oh, this makes sense, now I know how it works on here. So for now, it's us getting them to see how it is now, but in the future, when they're starting to pay for what they're getting, they're going to self-populate it themselves.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you. Great answers to great questions. And we'll see you in a little bit. And now it's time to meet our next contestant. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Stephen Attillo to On the Spot with his idea called Charger Parking. Stephen, you're on the spot. You've got 3 minutes. Go.
Hello, my name is Stephen Attillo. I'm currently a sophomore undergraduate here at the University of New Haven, majoring in computer science. It is a pleasure for the opportunity to be on this show to present my new mobile app idea. This mobile app, called Charger Parking, utilizes real-time parking availability to provide its users with real-time updates on parking on campus. There is a large student base of students at UNH that are commuters. As a commuter myself, it is increasingly frustrating with more and more students coming to the university as commuters to find parking sometimes. At times, it can take 10 to 15 minutes just to find a spot on campus. Many times we are wandering around campus aimlessly wasting time and gas just to find an open spot. A parking garage can be extremely expensive and can take a lot of time, so this is why I present to you my new mobile app idea. The UNH Parking mobile app is going to utilize machine learning and AI in order to do calculations to determine availability in real time in campus. Using GPS already built in onto your phone, the app is going to calculate how packed a certain parking lot is, and potentially the app can also let you know the exact spots that are open and the spots that are not open. The app is also going to take into consideration any kind of campus events or policies such as commuter or faculty spots in order to provide the user with accurate and ready information on parking availability. The raw data can be collected through various means such as GPS, and since the GPS does not require any kind of physical infrastructure, it reduces costs and also the invasiveness of my idea. Potentially, physical hardware can be used, such as cameras and sensors on campus, to increase the accuracy of the app's information. This infrastructure-less sensing is a great way for a new app with very little outside funding to start up, and is very realistic to be implemented here at UNH. Also, the app can collect all the data and provide the user with information on peak times and also graphic information to show when the best or worst time to try to find a spot is. I appreciate your time on this show, and I can answer any questions for you guys. Thank you.
Stephen, great job, great pitch. If
Thank
you
you.
can solve the parking problem, you should get the Nobel Prize for engineering, because it's a problem that's everywhere, and I know there's a lot of attempts to try and do it. But just how is this different than some of the other parking apps? Like there's one for New York City, I can't remember the name of it. But so the idea is not new, but is yours different in some way?
Well, it's different in the way that it's more aimed toward this specific university. And as I was looking online, a lot of the other parking apps are mostly for lots that you already have to pay for, or
I see.
usually those parking garages in cities. So, and there's also a lot more already backing for it. And there's also people there monitoring who's coming in. There's a payment as you come in.
I see.
So it's a lot more easier to implement it that way. But how it's different here is that it's going to be different every time. Your parking spot's going to be different every time, and it also depends on your classes, and it varies because there's a large student body and everyone has different needs.
Okay, so it's dynamic.
Exactly.
Okay. Speaking of dynamic, Rich, what do you have to say to Stephen?
Yeah, I agree, Mike. This is a real problem, and having had 2 daughters who went to colleges, I could never find a place to park without getting a ticket.
Mm-hmm.
So my first question is, you talked about the sensorless technology and then maybe moving to cameras in the future. What type of technology do you need to develop on your own to make this happen, to get yourself off the ground?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's definitely going to require some kind of AI using machine learning, and it's going to utilize the GPS already on your phone where the app is downloaded, And at first, a more general take on the app can be that the data itself that can be collected can just be as many students that are coming, it can just measure as many students that are coming into the certain lot, comparing versus the students that are leaving, and then calculating with that how many spots are available in there, determine the user with a general idea of it's going to be difficult to park here, there's a lot of open spots, but I feel like eventually it could also exactly say which spots are available and which spots are not.
So it's not enough for me, the driver who wants to park, to have the app. All the other cars that are in the lot also have to have the app.
Yes, they
Okay.
would. So that
Alright.
is why I do think of it as something that could be implemented into UNH's parking system as a whole.
Do students here already have an app that they're required to get from the university? And the reason I ask that is the university, the backer of this app, is that where you get your funding from?
Well, at the there is no current app out right now. It is the current policy is just the commuters. There's like an infinite amount of passes. They're free to get, and it's just first come, first serve. And currently, I have not, since I've not created this app yet, I do not have any funding yet from the university. But in the future, if the university could provide funding or some other source could provide funding, that will be used for the creation of the app.
Thank you.
You know, it makes a lot of sense when you think about, you know, your product is that you've got a couple of customers, right? You have the user, but the university is going to be a big gatekeeper here.
Of course.
Without the university, it's not going to move forward. So, Lisa, what are your thoughts?
So again, to Rich's point, great concept. So is, from the funding perspective, are you looking at the university in this particular, in your initial startup phase, is the university your top funding prospect?
Well, it would be a lot more simpler since it is only really aimed toward UNH, not toward any other company, although it could be in the future implemented for other uses. I feel like, at least from the parking system standpoint, it is an idea that I think should be implemented to solve the issue instead of, for say, a parking garage, which would require funding from the head
customer.
of the parking system.
Okay, so just thinking along that, I've been in plenty of airport or train station parking lots where they say there's spots left, and I drive all the way up to the 4th floor, and you know there's maybe a spot because who knows if somebody took it or not. So when I look at it from that, I'm not a university student, unfortunately, anymore, but from the airport and train station parking lot situation, I think, you know, looking beyond just university as you're developing your app, and who would be funding that, number one, and number two, again, to Rich's point, you need massive adoption of the app in order to really track. So do you have a marketing plan, or how are you going to reach that user to entice them? How are you going to entice them to download that app?
Well, I believe just the solution to the main problem is the enticement, because it can be really frustrating to find spots. So I believe that any kind of solution like this, especially as an app with, you know, all teenagers nowadays always on their phones, and since it could also be free, I don't find that it would be something that required that much enticement, but that also goes to show that maybe this app could be used across all colleges and across all campuses, since the technology itself doesn't necessarily have to be specific to UNH, but the root interest for this app did come from UNH's current parking situation.
Okay.
Well, it's interesting because universities are unique because they have a captive audience who have to do certain things in order to participate. So I can imagine maybe that's the leverage point for the university. I don't know. Ryan, what do you think?
Well, Stephen, I'm a big fan of using technology to create efficiency, so I commend you on that. I'm wondering about your possible integrations with Waze and Google Maps to bring the user like you from out of town all the way to your parking space. Have you thought about, integrations like that to create this kind of as a one-stop shop for people commuting from home all the way to their parking space?
I feel like since it primarily is going to utilize GPS, it is something that could definitely be integrated into the most common map apps such as Waze or Google Maps. And it would be a lot more easier, so it's not something that has to be specifically for UNH. So that could definitely be a future implementation.
Great, thanks.
Good. Great questions, great answers. So Stephen, why don't you join Jordan off stage, and the judges are going to begin their deliberation. All right, judges, now it's in your hands. Here we have two business ideas. Both of them are apps, which is pretty common these days. So I'm going to give you some time to discuss, deliberate, and you're going to decide which contestant moves on to the next round.
Okay, for me, and I think I heard all of us say that both of these apps are something that we've experienced a real need for.
Yeah.
And when I think about both of their ideas, the one that had a clearer path to making money or actually funding the idea was the TownView app, because it wasn't dependent on that solitary source of the university. And
Right,
there's
right.
businesses out there that they can go tap into.
But I don't know if you have ever had to knock on the doors of all those small businesses. It's a lot. It's a lot of feet on the street. It's a lot of investment in labor. And you're talking to businesses who are very reluctant to let go of their marketing dollar because
Right.
they're getting knocked, 600
But Lisa,
people are
but
knocking on the doors.
the local advertising remains the holy grail of internet revenue. And if someone has the right formula to unlock that, this app could be huge. So it's a lot of work to
True.
get there, and we've been on the side of knocking on doors and generating advertising revenue, but it's real money, and it can be done.
Yeah, but it seems like a little bit of a, is it a paradigm shift for like a local nightclub who's worrying about, all of his inventory and the people and tickets and everything else, to actually, is this a new model for him to advertise? Because it's not a traditional model now.
Right.
It could be, but they may be looking for new models because some of the old models don't work anymore.
But then I look at, again, to your point, I need to knock on 1,000 doors versus I need to knock on one door, whether it be
Right.
the university or the airport or the train station as the major funder of this particular side of the app.
Right.
You're putting more eggs in one basket, but that's a much more lucrative pitch in my mind.
Sure.
But there's one red flag with Stephen's pitch, and I think that if he's going to require every single user of the parking lot to be using the app in order for it to be effective, I think that's a problem.
Right.
Yeah, but
need-
sorry, but the one thing he said eventually he might go to cameras. And if you've got 20 or 30 parking lots in University of New Haven, putting in 4 cameras in each of those is not a big cost. And the technology to find an empty spot from a picture is there. It's not, you're not inventing a new software technology, but he needs to get buy-in from the university. And his whole plan revolves around getting buy-in from the university. So that's a go, no go, right? And if he gets past that, then I think he's got a path to having a business. But that's a big hurdle.
Bigger.
Yeah.
Well, Rich, Ryan, I think we have our decision.
Stephen, Jordan, welcome back. Well, this is the moment of truth. The judges have made a decision as to which one of you is going to be moving on to the next round. So, judges, what is your decision?
Jordan and Stephen, great job. Jordan, loved your idea. It's close to my heart. Selling advertising is really, really hard, but if you do it right, you can make a lot of money. Stephen, I really liked your idea. The idea of using technology to create efficiency is excellent, especially when AI and machine learning is involved. In the end, the judges decided, though, that Jordan, you're the winner tonight. Your idea is extremely flushed out, and we're excited to see you move forward.
Thank you.
All right. Congratulations, Jordan.
Thank
Great
you.
job. Stephen, great job. You get the Persistence and the Resilience Award. You did a great job tonight.
you.
And just keep developing that idea because it's awesome. All right, so Jordan, you're moving on to the next round. And between now and the next time you pitch, we're going to provide some professional coaching and mentoring to help you refine and develop your pitch. Awesome. So congratulations to both of you again. And listen, Stephen, if it didn't work out this time, you keep on pitching because it's a great idea. Well, that's it from the Entrepreneurship and Innovation Center here at the University of New Haven. Thank you for joining us today on the Spot. Make sure to tune in for our next episode, and remember, make it yours, make it real, and keep on pitching.